Hey, it's Fran over here. How's it going? Basically, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about some of the things relevant in my life at the moment, and I'm gonna start a new project here as part of my channel. I know, like, I'm probably not reaching out to a lot of regulars. I think there's a few people within Reprogram the Matrix that shout out to the Reprogram the Matrix that tend to follow my videos. So shout out to all you guys, like Brandon, TK, Austin, Astro of course. I saw Astro and TK recently put together a good video, which I really enjoyed, talking about the ego and stuff like that. But I'm going to talk a little bit about, because I'm doing a decoding series you can check out, like Decoding Mainstream Media. I have one episode of so far, where I looked at the WWE. I've got Decoding the English language mainly, or language in general, and now I'm going to start a series of decoding music, because I'm doing a music degree and I'm learning a lot more about music, different styles of music and stuff, so I think it's been a great teacher for me, so I'll pass on some information about music. So I'm not going to talk too much about negative, like how music's used to control people, but I'll talk a bit about the science behind music and why it works the way it does. So basically, we are like, our brains vibrate. We have brain waves and different states naturally every day, and every time we sleep, our brains go through different states, like alpha waves, beta waves, theta waves. So when we're going to sleep, theta waves, our brains kind of vibrate, or whatever you want to call it. They work in theta, like THETA, not feta cheese. And this vibration happens between about 4 and 6 hertz, which means if you're playing two frequencies, or the difference between a frequency vibrating and like a note vibrating is basically you just say a number. So on the spectrum of what we can hear, it's about 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So obviously when we get hearing loss and stuff, it changes and varies, and we have certain areas within this spectrum that we can hear better, because like generally human voice is around 500 hertz, and this is where to 1500. This is where we have more kind of, we can hear things clearer. We have, like, you don't need to speak as loud in certain frequencies, because our perception allows us to pick up these frequencies easier than low and high, for example. Like extremely low frequencies, like, say I was saying about theta waves, they can't be heard, they can be felt, like microwaves and radiation. That's kind of different to music, but these are the frequencies that cannot be like heard, but they can be felt by the organs of the body. So but basically the brain waves in theta states are quite low in hertz, whereas alpha, which is like a focus state, might have alpha waves when we're out in nature or hunting, or if we have like adrenaline, or we want to be focused, our brain will go to alpha, which is like allows us to use maybe more of our brain, or our brain in a more focused, attentive way. And this is a good state to be in, but obviously not all the time, because we have to naturally go between states. But anyway, so alpha is about 10 hertz. So if you're playing 400 hertz and then 400 hertz in one ear, 410 hertz in the other ear, eventually there'd be a beating between them. Well, there would be a beating between them, and eventually the brain would entrain itself to vibrate in that range between. So you'd be vibrating at 10 hertz. So effectively your brain would be in an alpha state, which is good. If you look into vibrations, how they can be used to heal and change your state of consciousness and state of your brain. Basically, there's a lot of scientific research behind that. This is why, like, trance music and stuff, they operate at around, like, psychedelic trance operates about 150 beats per minute, which allows the listener to go into this trance state where they feel like euphoria, focus, and you can get lost in the moment because you're in this trance state. I know Astro talks. I'm going to quickly mention Astro. You look into words as well, and you saw like trap music, as in trapping people, and I think it's a bit melodramatic to say that a genre of music can trap people and stuff like that, and how the drop can make people drop and lose energy, or drop into a lower energy. I think that's a bit intense. I feel like music is transmuted individually by everyone pretty much, and a lot of people like Radiohead are one of the biggest bands in the world right now, and they have been for about 20 years. And a lot of their music's very like melancholy, and some people hate it and they think it's depressing. Whereas a lot of people, they just think it's wonderful, magical, beautiful music, and they see that you can't always write happy songs. A lot of artists, they think you need, obviously like myself being a musician and a lot of good musicians, you need to cater for the whole range of emotional expression. That's why I'm saying music as a teacher, because it develops your emotional diversity by giving you not only a lyrical description but a frequency representation through instruments and stuff of feelings, emotions, states, if you will. So music can be a great tool to socially help an individual understand the emotional spectrum that we can experience, but also you can fall into being influenced too much by music. So if you listen to too much rock and rap, you can get into a rebellious state of mind, which can be delusional. And I always say, like, every day is a new challenge. Like The Art of Peace is another book, well, it's a book I've referred to before, that focuses, it says like every day is a constant struggle between good and evil. So for example, if one day the best way to be is slow, passive, peaceful, you might want to listen to ambient music with spread out synths, airy synths. There's no real fixed rhythm, it's kind of just a free-flowing, varying expression. Whereas another day, there might be a lot more, within your own experience, there might be a lot more like, you might be walking through a busy city, so you want something with a beat, you want something more pumping and pulsing and activate those alpha waves and get you in like a reptilian, repetitive state of mind to march through and be focused and not exactly be emotional. And there might be another day where you're feeling like it's a cold, tired Sunday, so you want to listen to some like, maybe music to warm you up, like some happy music, like reggae or calypso, African music, or maybe you want to go with the mood and have some like mellow music, like something that's kind of just on the same page as how you feel. So it's up to you how much like you want to let music affect you emotionally, but there is also science with how it affects us physiologically in the brain, and how frequencies are used massively in not just in music, but like a lot of machines and like fans, things in the backgrounds in rooms, cars, sirens sweep from low to high frequencies, and because they're so loud from like loudspeakers and they're in public places, it can trigger people to act chaotically or panic, or I mean, many people have probably had miniature heart attacks. I call them like mini heart attacks, when you kind of get, your heart misses a beat or whatever, when suddenly there's a siren of an ambulance or a police siren. So this is something I would personally, I'm interested in augmenting reality to such a degree where, because the way everything's going with 5G, potentially 5G is going to allow a lot of more devices to be hooked up to the internet, which can go good or bad. I think it can go good though. And basically that means if we fix everything to the internet, including cars and things like that, and who knows, the potential is you could be driving in a car one day and this is kind of my idea, and you could like so you could be listening to another car, or another car could be driving behind you, or a bike, and because the vehicle's engine or motor or some kind of way of understanding the speed of the vehicle, whether it's GPS, is hooked up to the internet, and 5G is allowing connectivity, you could effectively change the sound of that bike. So if you didn't like the sound of a big massive or a 50cc really loud hairdryer bike, you could change the sound through augmented reality and headphones through a device like a phone that's connected, obviously I think it's connected to 5G, to make it like a funny, silly sound, like, you know, something more comical, to make your day a bit more funny. If you're a driver and you're a lorry driver and you're spending 12 hours a day driving up and down motorways, you can actually augment your reality to make it more exciting. Because obviously, like, driving can be a boring experience, which is why we have radios in like almost every car these days. People have CDs, people listen to podcasts, because although it's a relaxing experience driving, it can be repetitive, like a lot of things where you spend too much time doing things. So I'm 11 in at the moment, I'll keep going. But basically, yeah, I'm trying to give you a scientific overview of how frequencies and music can affect us. I'm trying to say learn from music lyrically, because a lot of people that make music and write music are very wise to the world, and they're actually politicians that are working, like Bob Dylan, for example, is a classic free rights kind of socialist, I suppose, politician or political messenger who used folk songs and wrote a hell of a lot of music, many good famous songs which related to people that were going against war and stuff in the 60s, you know, all kinds of good messages. And also Bob Dylan, he's not always writing for these big world issues. He sometimes writes on silly events or personal events, or so in a way he's journaling. Astro talks about journaling a lot. I think music is a way of journaling your life as well in a more exciting way. So I would recommend trying to make music, because I think anyone can. Even if you're just sitting on a keyboard synth and playing like a few chords, and it relates to the way you were feeling that day. You don't even have to write lyrics necessarily to express yourself through music, because I think it's a very valuable tool. But yeah, like Bob Dylan would write about like Mr. Tambourine Man, in the jingle jangle morning, he'll come following you, and all this. It's kind of like, it's meaningless kind of nonsense. It's kind of like a dream state, a lot of his songs. Or what I like to say is, he says a lot without saying anything at all. Sorry, my camera's just making weird things. But yeah, like, to say a lot without saying anything at all, like, is a nonsensical way of expressing, which sometimes is good, because not everything you have to say needs to be analysed, scrutinised, understood, or meaningful. I mean, it's nice to be nonsensical sometimes and have a laugh and just make up words, or not necessarily make up words, but have like a moment where you can just use sentences and words, string them together in a way that is just kind of like either metaphorical, symbolic, just fun, meaningless, expressive, basically. I'm just saying you need to express yourself through words, and words are just vibrations that we are putting through our device that we have, like our throat, larynx, our tongue, our teeth, our lips, and we're using the shapes and the holes in our heads to be able to hear and produce these vibrations, and our throat is tightening. If you want to know the science behind that, yeah, like when we sing higher, our throat tightens up, so it's getting tighter and blah blah blah. So we're expressing vibrations, but it goes back to, yeah, my camera's about to die, so yeah, just basically like the chants, they would heal their body through vibrations in the yogi temples. But yeah, I'll leave it there anyway, so this is quite a lot for the start. Decoding music, peace in and out, with love, my high vibrations. It's Frano, over and out.